Have you ever cussed somebody out so badly, but then later thought, like, man, that was mean, or I shouldn't have said that? Or have you ever done something and then later thought, like, well, maybe I overreacted, but you felt like you couldn't help yourself? Somebody said something you didn't like and you just snapped or like blacked out. You acted out of impulse. You became so consumed with your emotions, whether it was anger, rage, or sadness, that you didn't have time to think before you reacted. This is where emotional intelligence comes in. Hey everybody, Erin Darton here, also known as Life Coach E. And I am an emotional intelligence coach and business consultant. But what is emotional intelligence? People who are emotionally intelligent have the ability to create space between when they feel an emotion and responding to that emotion. And in that time, they really take the time to process what they are feeling and decide what is the appropriate response. And so I'm not saying that you won't cuss anybody out. What I'm saying is it's important for you to feel the emotion, but then take time to process it and consciously decide what the appropriate response is. So what's the big deal? Why should you even care about raising your emotional intelligence? And there are really three huge benefits to having higher emotional intelligence. For one, people who have higher emotional intelligence make more money. Talent Smart did a survey of the workforce and they found that people that have higher emotional intelligence made on average like $29,000 more per year than somebody with lower emotional intelligence. The second benefit is that people that have higher emotional intelligence, they're happier. They tend to have a career that they find is satisfying and fulfilling. And the third benefit to having high emotional intelligence is having healthy relationships. When you have higher emotional intelligence, you are able to create a deeper connection with someone, and that leads to a healthier relationship. Emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize and understand your emotions and the emotions of other people, and to use that knowledge to manage your behaviors and relationships. Daniel Goleman is a psychologist and he is credited with popularizing emotional intelligence. And he came up with 5 components of emotional intelligence. And the first one is self-awareness. If you are self-aware, you understand and recognize your emotions in the moment. You know what your triggers are and what sets you off. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And you just have a good understanding of who you are to your core. The second component of emotional intelligence is self-management. So once you are aware of your emotions and how they affect other people and what sets you off, you use that knowledge to govern yourself accordingly. So you take the time to pause and think about what the best response is. The third component usually has to do with emotional intelligence in the workforce, and that is motivation. People who have high emotional intelligence are constantly working on their goals. They know why they are in a specific position, why they are pursuing this goal, and they are able to stay focused and working towards that goal. The fourth component of emotional intelligence is empathy. And when you are empathetic, you take the time to understand somebody else. You step into the shoes of the other person and you really make an effort to understand how they are feeling and why they are feeling the way that they feel. The last component of emotional intelligence is relationship management. So once you are self-aware and you know how to regulate yourself and you're motivated if this is a work setting and you understand the other person in a relationship, you use all of this knowledge to manage your relationships successfully. Let's look at emotional intelligence in a personal relationship. So you use your self-awareness to notice your feelings and judge if your needs are being satisfied. And then you use your self-management or your self-regulation to articulate your needs to somebody else and to respond appropriately in the relationship. And then you are empathetic in understanding the other person's emotions and what they need. And then once you have all of this information, you can determine how the relationship should operate, if at all. There is an Aristotle quote that sums up emotional intelligence perfectly. It says that anybody can be angry. That's easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy. I would change that quote a little bit. An appropriate emotional response may not be inherent to everybody, but you can definitely learn these skills. So stick around for my tips and my workshops on how you can become more self-aware, learn how to self-manage, how to be empathetic, and so that you can cultivate healthy relationships.